Another month is coming, another artificial difficulty quest is going to be dropping our way. What is going on, you guys? This is your boy, the Dash Masher, and we are back for yet another Bleach Brave Souls video, and today we're going to be breaking down this entire Limit Breaker quest as to who you should bring and what other alternatives. Why do this quest? Because you can pretty much get Transcendence points to reroll on your character's 6th slot for when you do get them 5 out of 5, but most importantly, you do get orbs, and it's pretty much a good 50 of them. And let's just go over the rules real quick. And also another reason is because you can get more keys to the achievement system. So yeah, slot 1 is going to have you facing up against Heart Quincy enemy mobs, and the rules are as follows. Mind attribute damage times 2, range damage times 2, and killer effect times 4, with the ailment puddles being weakening. This is going to be catered towards the new Christmas Retsu. Slot 2, on the other hand, is going to be up against power no affiliation enemy mobs, and the rules are speed attribute damage times 2, melee damage times 2, and killer effect times 4, which means that this is for the #1 Zanpakuto creator, and he should be returning this month. And then slot 3 is gonna have you up against speed Soul Reaper enemy mobs, and there's only one rule this time around: technique attribute damage times 2, and you can pretty much bring either the likes of Gigi or Shinji, who are going to be the best units, and Shinji should be expected to return this month as well. So be wary of trap banners and everything else, because it's about to get crazy, man. It's about to get crazy. Oh, and I forgot to mention, the ailment puddles on slot 2 is burn once more. So yeah, again, cater towards Oh-Etsu, and then it's paralysis. And both Shinji and Gigi are immune to paralysis. So let's just talk about the best 3 units real quick. Or 4. Retsu will be available starting on the 30th of November, and you guys will pretty much get the chance to pull for her, and even though she's going to be missing some of the essential skills that she would normally get in guild quests, such as Frenzy plus 3, the 50% killer effect, and the extra range damage, you're still at least going to be able to get 30% of the killer effect and 10% of the range damage, and of course you still get Frenzy plus 2. She does have 55% full stamina damage boost, so it isn't going to be exactly the worst for when it comes to using this character, but she does have increased ailment chance against Quincy's with the 80% SP boost, and also bombardment and weakened defense. So her soul bomb is actually going to be quite solid for when it comes to nuking through any type of given stage in Limit Breaker quest. Does have Havoc, Sharpshooter, and Sprint plus 1. So yeah, easily the best unit to use, and the kit is actually quite good too, since she shares Giselle's SA1, has more so the same SA2 as the 9th anniversary Kenpachi, and then a full screen 1200 radius SA3. Oh-Etsu, on the other hand, is going to be a different case. He's a purity character, but is going to be one of the more broken purity characters that we have in the game. Also has no affiliation killer. Plus, with the gauge mechanic, once you get the gauge unlocked, you get 100% Berserker, an additional Frenzy, and his 6-star abilities are no joke, as well as the innate abilities. Burn plus 2, Havoc of 20% with Marauder. He also gets some extra gauge skills, such as Recharge upon activating the gauge, and you do start with 70% of the gauge. So you'll be able to immediately activate it upon entering the first stage, and also comes with Gauge Rampage. The more enemies you kill, the faster the gauge fills up, with Frenzy plus 2, Bombardment plus 1, 140% increased damage to enemies not afflicted by an ailment, which we're going to call this Purity because there's another character we need to talk about in terms of alternatives. And also has weakened defense built into the character with Long Stride, and also has Poise Break, which will allow you to stop the enemy mobs from attacking you, especially for the harder ones. So other than that, he's going to be a very nice and effective character. Just the EX move is going to suck. You're mainly going to use it if you're out of strong attacks and you need to build up the gauge. But besides that, excellent character for slot 2. These two characters, on the other hand, Shinji and Giselle, they're both going to be pretty nice to use in slot 3 with what they are designed for. The only difference is that one has killer and the other doesn't. So going over Shinji, he does not have killer, but he is still going to be able to get all of his damage regardless of having Squad 0 killer plus, because look at this. Soul trait of status element spiritual pressure boost of 40%. And with the 6-star abilities, it doubles up to 120%, and does come armed with a lot of good skills. Oh, never mind. I thought he was immune to paralysis, so excuse me. But this is still going to be a very nice and effective character, because he does at least have Havoc with Sprint +1, 50% Berserker, Devastation of 70% with Frenzy +2, increased element chance against Soul Reapers, and damage to confused enemies of 60% with weakened defense and guard break. Now the Soul Bomb is going to be a bit weaker for this guy, but you can actually make use out of this character very damn nicely. And I would argue that his kit is a bit better than Giselle because he has the Vortex and Pushback attack on the SA1, 960 in front, and then the full screen 1200 radius SA3. Giselle is going to be the bit stronger character because she does, or he does, have Soul Reaper Killer Plus. And yeah, doesn't have the same spiritual pressure boost, but does have different kinds of multipliers, is immune to paralysis puddles with 60% Berserker, Frenzy +2, Bombardment, increased element chance against Soul Reapers with 30% more damage to element affected enemies and damage to dominated enemies of 100%. Personally, I'm not a fan of the dominate status element, so I'm going to be taking my picks between this character, Shinji, and Grammy just to see how far I can get up to for slot 3 overall. Has weakened defense, sharpshooter, and 80% SP boost, so yeah. Both of the characters are still going to be really good, so you cannot really expect these characters to flop at all. Those were the best units. Now it's time to go ahead and talk about the alternatives for each individual slot. So let's start off with slot 1. So it's going to have us bring a ranged Quincy Killer for Mind. So what do we have in terms of alternatives that we can actually make use out of? Let's take a good clean look at it. Well, we have 2 solid options. One of them is really good. The other, I'm definitely going to say it's lacking. But Swimsuit Meninia should actually be a very nice and effective character. The only difference here is that her SA1 is going to be the Azushiro SA1 with higher mags. It's 60% rather than 30%, but does have a lunge of 870 radius like Oh-Etsu. The problem here is the SA2 is going to take a very long time to come back. It's going to be 20 seconds, and that's not going to be too good. 1200 radius SA3, but she does meet all the rules and has quite a good set of skills like 50% Berserker, Frenzy +2 with 100% Purity. She has more so the same kind of skill set as the Speed Senjumaru, and she happened to be quite solid in Limit Break Request once she has all the rules active, and I can see the same case for this character, but it's going to be a lot slower because, again, wonky SA1, long cooldown SA2, but if you are not pulling for Christmas Retsu and you have this character, you can use her and she'll still be able to work effectively. Balgo, on the other hand, I'm gonna be honest with you guys, I do feel like this character will need dupes because he is very lacking in damage. Because he only has Frenzy +1 with 40% Berserker, 80% SP boost, and yeah. Pretty much gonna be your last option to use for a character that meets all the rules. But if you have him max transcended, I think he might be able to work a teeny tiny bit. Not that crazy, I'm gonna be honest, but does have increased element chance, so it's going to be effective. And yeah, that's pretty much about it for the characters that share the same rules as Retsu. But now, why don't we take it a step further and see what other Quincy Killers we can take advantage of, regardless of it being ranged. Now here, we're going to be active with 2 rules, meaning that the characters are going to struggle a teeny tiny bit. And Ishin, I feel like, is probably going to be that one character that can actually work well even with 2 rules active, just because of the simple matter of fact that he's a mini Kyokei. By that, I mean, his kit is a bit weaker. He has a lunge, 750 AoE in front into homing vortex, and then has a full screen SA3, but he has really cracked skill sets. On the soul trait, status element spiritual pressure boost of 40%, which will go up to 120% with Havoc of 20%, Sprint +1, broken set of ailment combos, being laceration and burn, 50% Berserker, Rampage, Frenzy +2, and then has increased element chance against hard attribute enemies. And that's overall going to be really damn good for when it comes to using this character. With Rampage, oh yeah, it's going to make a very big difference, and you're going to have a really consistent chance of being able to inflict ailments with this character overall. So he just might be better than Meninia, depending on how the rules will treat this character. I wouldn't really recommend Grimmjow, because he pretty much has... What are his damage multipliers again? 35% strong attack damage, okay. 40% more damage to element-affected enemies per mind characters, and damage to drain enemies of 40%. I mean, you can use him, but his kit is very, very wonky. I'm gonna be honest, it's worse than Meninia, so pretty much gonna be your last option overall to use. And that's it for the characters that only have 2 rules. Now, let's just take it a step further and see what we can make use out of Quincy killers that are ranged, okay? Let's see what we have now at our disposal. Okay, Future Society Ulk. I do see him being weaker than Ishin overall because his multipliers aren't that stacked, but he should still be a very effective character. He does have increased element chance against Quincy, so he'll still be able to take advantage of the 40% damage to weaken enemies. Has defeated enemy bonus, such as getting 20% Berserker and 20% more strong attack damage to the entire team with stamina recovery. 20% Berserker via the Soul trait, 80% SP boost with Frenzy +2. Yeah, this character can be a very effective character with Long Stride as well. That being said, I'll definitely say he will need dupes to even be good for this one because he will not have typing advantage and only has 2 rules, so he's going to struggle a bit more, but he should still work as a character. Sadly, that's the only alternative for when it comes to overall range Quincy killers. I cannot recommend any of the other characters. Balgo, I mean, sure, he's a mind character. You can use him to some extent, but yeah, it is what it is. All right, we've taken a look at everything else. What about overall mind range characters? What can we use here? There's no one to use here. I'm gonna be honest. Like, Candace, she needs Soul Reaper enemy mobs. Nini, I do feel like she's gotten weaker as time went on. And, no, I cannot recommend anyone else out of the overall mind characters that we have that are ranged. No way. Okay, we've gone over all of slot 1. Now let's just go over slot 2's alternatives. So let's start off with speed, melee, no affiliation killers. Samthani Uryu, he definitely will need dupes, but I'm definitely going to say this. He is going to be a lot weaker compared to when Oh-Etsu dropped, because with Uryu, you could bring Macy and get his cooldowns back and also get away with using the Songdu link, which was why he was very effective at max transcendence. Here, you cannot really bring Macy on slot number 3, so on the other end, he's going to be a lot slower to use as a character, and even though he's going to have all the rules active, he is literally missing 80% SP boost. He doesn't have the gauge rampage like Oh-Etsu, so it's going to be slower to build up the gauge. And he only has, like, what, 20% Berserker with 20% more character strong attack damage. Yeah. You can use him. But I'm definitely going to say he's going to be slower than Oh-Etsu. Like, and that's pretty much it that we can use with the characters that have all the same 3 rules as Oh-Etsu. Now, why don't we take it a step further and see what we can use for overall no affiliation killers for speed? Macy should be a bit better than Uryu, but not by much because she is still missing all the rules. Doesn't have the increased element chance, but once you get the procs in, you do 40% more damage to paralyzed and weaken enemies 40%. The SA1 is kind of bad, but you do have the 960 into Homing Vortex to get away with that, with 40% strong attack damage, Frenzy +2, 80% SP boost. So, yeah, of course this character will need dupes like Uryu. So there's that, and yeah, you can use this character, just saying. That's pretty much it. I cannot really recommend anyone else with the characters that share only 2 rules. So now, let's just take a look at overall no affiliation killers. But keep in mind, we're going to be up against our no affiliation mobs, so we cannot use tech units because that's just going to slow us down heavily, and we're not going to have a very good time overall. Okay, Yuha can work. Just like I stated for Macy, he's going to need dupes to even be good, but what he brings to the table is that, 1, he's going to be able to help out characters like Christmas Retsu, Ishin, and other units. So you might want to use this character because he does give out double soul bombs and recharge. So that's going to be a really nice combo. But more importantly, yeah, besides the double soul bombs, he does become stronger as you defeat more enemy mobs. I've talked about this character on multiple occasions. I think you guys already know. Good kit with Suction Vortex 960 into Homing Vortex, full screen, 80% SP boost. Yeah, Yuha is Yuha, man. Sadly, that's pretty much about it. I do not recommend using Light because you're not up against heart enemy mobs, and he just has Frenzy +2 with 80% SP boost when you don't even have the ways to proc ailments consistently. So that's pretty much about it. Conquered Ichigo is definitely a hell no. But now, the last alternatives would pretty much be to take a look at overall speed characters. What do we have that we can actually make usage out of? 9th Annie Kenpachi, if he's max transcended, he should be able to work nicely. That being said, he's never going to have killer, but he'll still be able to do some work regardless. Like, he can get 360% SP boost once you activate the EX move and proc with your ailments, albeit he doesn't have the increased status ailment chance against Ronker, so yeah, it's going to be a bit tough to get all of the ailments procced in, and he's just going to be a bit of a slower character to use for Limit Breaker Quest. And what else? Unohana should still be quite solid to use. You do need to get the Rampage built up. Most of you guys will probably have this character max transcended, as she has been returning in fillers a bit more often. And yeah, she does plant the trap, has Rampage, with Long Stride, 80% SP boost. Yeah, she is still a very dominant character, but I'm definitely gonna say with only 2 rules active, I don't know how great she will be. She will be like as if you were playing as Yuha or Slot 2, just a bit better because you're up against power mobs, so she'll have typing advantage. Songdu should still work. He has increased element chance against power mobs, so there's that, and that's pretty much about it. I wouldn't really recommend either Tensa or Senjumaru because of the fact that they're a purity character, and these kind of characters need 3 rules except for Oh-Etsu, to be honest. Yeah, that's pretty much about it for Slot 2. For Slot 3, on the other hand, you mainly want to bring tech characters, and you can pretty much just use any tech character that is good, and I can name already some really good options. Besides Giselle and Shinji, Grammy, once again, is going to be a really good character. Now, he will not have the increased element chance active because we're up against Soul Reapers and not Hollows, but even then, he still has Frenzy +3, 70% strong attack damage, with Team Party Quincy strong attack damage of 20%, and once you do proc the ailments, you do 30% more damage to ailment affected enemies, and you have the broken EX move of being able to debuff the enemies, and you can buff yourself and all of your other allies and do a lot more damage. So you cannot go wrong with this character whatsoever. Can be used as a nuker as well, similar to Giselle, 80% SP boost, and yeah, his kit is too good as well. Like, I would not really sleep on this character. If you guys have Max Transcended, I think you guys can get away with using him in slot number 3. He only needs 1 rule active, and he already does the job like as if you were playing as Giselle or Shinji. So you might as well want to try using him. I'm planning to do so myself. Up next, Ichibe should be a really good option. He does have killer, funny enough, so he should be good. And he's just basically a better Nini. At the end of the day, think about him as if it were Oh-Etsu, but a bit weaker in that kind of sense, because base-wise, he only has Frenzy +1 with 50% Berserker. That's all he has. But once you get the gauge active, you do get 100% more Berserker, Frenzy +2, 50% SP boost from the gauge, you get your cooldowns back. You also have the gauge rampage skill like Oh-Etsu, and you're going to be able to build up and get the most out of this character. And you can nuke with this character since he has bombardment and weakened defense, so very good and effective character. The next other alternative is going to be Quincy Ichigo. This guy will be able to get all of his cooldowns back, and it doesn't matter if he has killer, as long as you can use any tech character and you're up against speed mobs. He's always going to get the increased element chance against speed attribute enemies, has cooldowns when moving in between the quest areas, with some pretty good skills. The only bad part to it is he has an 18% shade. That's pretty much just about it, with a 3k length beam and a full screen 1200 radius SA3, but this character should still be able to work quite fine as a tech character. And that's pretty much about it for the best alternatives for tech. Now, you guys can use Spirits Are Forever with Toshiro, but he's going to be extremely inconsistent with being able to proc, even though he does have killer. He has it, but you need to get the gauge built up. He doesn't have gauge rampage, and the SP boost is pretty inconsistent since you don't have increased element chance with this guy. Aizen, you can use him. He's going to be slow though, because he's going to be a normal attacking character, so there's that. And we have characters like Remy, Giselle that you can use. You might as well not want to use him, and he's going to be one of your last options. Bambi, she needs killer. Without it, you're missing most of the stuff like the extra killer effect, the extra damage. I don't think I need to go too deep into detail about this character overall. And yeah, that's pretty much about it. Don't use Rengiku, she sucks. Bambi, no. Yeah, those are your best alternatives for tech. So yeah. That's it. We're done. And this is going to be my team for the upcoming Limit Break request. Let me know what you guys are going to be using. Now, if Ishin proves to not be as strong and Swimsuit Meninia somehow does better than him, then I just might as well go ahead and switch Ishin to her and hope to do pretty good, even though she's 1-5. But yeah, this Limit Break request is going to be a bit more annoying because you need Oh-Etsu overall for slot 2. Slot 1 at least has some options, but not everyone is going to be able to have those said options because of the constant 1,000-year blower banners that we've been getting. But yeah, that pretty much does it. Thank you guys for watching. If you guys have enjoyed this video, don't forget to smash that like button, subscribe to the channel if you guys haven't already, hit the bell notification and all that good stuff. I should be able to stream Limit Break request by the time it drops, so if you guys want to tune in, subscribe and hit that bell notification. This has been your boy, the Dash Smasher, and hope to see you guys all in the next one. So have a wonderful day, lads. Peace out. Bye. Signing. Ciao, ciao.